Welcome to this week's edition of the Fordham Roundup with men's soccer coach Jim McElderry. Jim, guys pick up a huge win at St. Louis, clinch that all-important Atlantic 10 championship berth. Talk about the performance of your team out in St. Louis.
It was great. It's a tough place to go. They always win at home, it seems. St. Louis, they were 6-0 as we had it in there. So it was a great performance by our guys. Tough that we went down a goal. We thought we were playing well, and then all of a sudden we're down a goal. But as we've spoken about before, we've been down a bunch of games this year. The guys don't panic, and we've managed to come back, get a late goal. And then I thought in overtime we really pushed. I think we had 7 shots in overtime compared to none for them. So we were really chasing the game because we thought we were playing well. I was just proud of the performance of the guys. The guys that started, guys coming off the bench, really had an impact on the game. So hopefully we can build on it.
The win puts you guys in a position where if things break the right way, things could be pretty interesting going into the last 2 home games here at Coffee Field against UMass and St. Bonaventure. What's the mindset of the team going into these last 2 home games heading into the tournament?
Well, one, we want to keep trying to improve our home record. You know, we've been up and down at home, so it's something that we want to try to really establish ourselves as a better home team. So our guys are taking that seriously. But really, it's just about playing UMass, trying to see if we can continue momentum and playing well, and hopefully that ends up bringing a good result. But it's more about the performance. They're going to be very hungry. They haven't clinched a berth, but they're right on the edge. So I think 1 point would get them in. So it'll be a tough game. We know they're playing very well, UMass. They've had a good season. It's 2 years in a row where they've played really well in conference, bought into what their coach is preaching. So I know it's going to be a tough game, but we'll be ready.
You graduate 2 seniors on senior day on Sunday, Andy Hickey and Ole Sadness. What have they meant to this group this year as you progress through and already have clinched that A-10 berth and, again, setting up for seeding this week?
Yeah, it's nice for them. Sometimes you go into that last game of the season and you haven't clinched anything, and there's just so much pressure and really tough. And if you don't get the result, it's just such a painful feeling. So I'm happy for those guys that we've clinched before we head into that last game. And both of those guys have been massive for the program. Ole's been here for 3 years after transferring after his freshman year from Oregon State, and has been kind of a mainstay. Plays pretty much every game. He's healthy, and Andy the same. Andy's been someone who's come in from day one and started and had an impact, and both those guys are not only good on the field but really have been exemplary off the field. Great representations for us around campus in the community. Both of those guys know more people than I do here on campus, so I'm always impressed with them as young men, and looking forward to having their families here, both being international guys, but both will have family members here, so I'm excited for Saturday for them.
All right, well, best of luck this week in the 2 home games, and we'll see you at the A-10 tournament.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with our senior interview with Andy Hickey. Here with our player interview with senior Andy Hickey. Andy, big win this past weekend against St. Louis. You guys clinched that all-important berth with 2 games still remaining on the schedule. How's the team feeling after that big win at St. Louis?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things we did against St. Louis was that we really, made a strategic game plan and stuck through it throughout the whole 120 minutes. I think one of the most impressive thing from our guys was our ability to get behind the ball. I think our communication was the best since I've been here in the past games in terms of this season, and it's just guys are really not only excited to qualify, but we're determined to win these last 2 games to potentially finish with the most points that we've ever had since my time here.
You guys have those 2 home games this week, UMass on Wednesday, and then on senior day on Saturday night against St. Bonaventure. What's the team mentality going into those last 2 games?
I think it's a lot different than playing against a team like St. Louis. We know the kind of caliber of team St. Louis are. It's a different kind of battle as such. We know UMass are going to come here and compete for the whole 90 minutes because they need to qualify. And I think over the past couple of years, we've had some very interesting games against them. We beat them, they've beat us, we've played them in the tournament. And it's going to be a game that, is still going to be a competitive in terms of it'll seem like both teams really need to qualify. I think our guys are still determined that we want to get another 3 or potentially 6 points and finish as high up in the table as possible.
It'll be a big night on Saturday night. I know you got family coming in from overseas for senior night. What are the emotions going into those last 2 home games for yourself, as well as for Ole? Again, he's got family coming in from Norway. What are your feelings going in this last week?
Yeah, I think it's only really hit me this past week that these are my last 2 home games. I really kind of been thinking just how grateful I am to have played in this program, and how grateful I am for my teammates of making it such an amazing experience for me, and to Coach McElderry and Coach Wise. But it's been very emotional for both me and Ole. I think it becomes a reality of, you might not be, you just won't play here again, especially when you've created such great memories of certain games that have really made it such worthwhile, of all the dedication and hard time you give. So it's going to be a very sad ending for me, and obviously I'm excited to share it with my family and my teammates.
All right, well, best of luck, Andy, and best of luck on senior night as well as on Wednesday against UMass.
Thank you very much.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Fordham Ram Roundup. Special thanks to head coach Jim McElderry and senior Andy Hickey for joining us. Rams 2 final home games on the regular season slate on Wednesday afternoon against UMass at 3:30 p.m. and Saturday night against St. Bonaventure. It'll be senior night. Both those games can be seen live on the Atlantic 10 Digital Network, or if you can't watch the game or get here to the field, you can follow on Twitter at Fordham Soccer. For the Fordham Ram Roundup, I'm Scott Kwiatkowski, and we'll see you next time.